Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Avi Golhar. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast. This podcast is going to blow your brains out. Here's why. I have a really good friend of mine. His name's Brandon Barnes, and we're going to be talking about what it takes to become a real estate investor. He's done many deals. He told me at one point, and then I forgot. I lost count of how many deals this guy's done. But he is a pro investor. He knows what it takes from a mindset perspective and an execution perspective to get deals done. He's built teams, and which is really interesting for a lot of investors because a lot of investors don't have teams. It's just, me, myself, and I. That does not count as three people, okay? It doesn't work like that. So how do you scale up? How do you streamline that business? What type of people do you need? And of course, what kind of a mindset do you need to make sure that these folks are on the right track, crushing it for you every single day while you're out building a business and not building a job? It might seem like I'm yelling at you a little bit. It's okay, I am. So I'm going to bring him on in just a second. After that, we're going to talk about a recent article about short-term rentals. And I'm going to throw in an old school reference back when I was doing the Think Realty radio show on what I thought about Airbnb even back in the day and how you could have crushed it back then, the slight adjustments that you have to make today. So we can't do the podcast without the help of our sponsors. Today's sponsor is Clint Coons of Anderson Business Advisor, nationally recognized for providing bulletproof asset protection, tax, and business strategy advice to real estate investors. Go to getbulletprooftoday.com and receive his book, Asset Protection for Real Estate Investors, for free while supplies last. All right, let's get to it. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
You got it. I'm excited to have you, man. There's always, we're always talking about different strategies, different buying strategies, and just how you are coaching up and working with your students. So why don't you give us a little background on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you for having me again. And, it's been an interesting journey. I started real estate investing literally January 1, 2016. And very quickly, I had a great mentor to lead me. I wanted to specifically focus on wholesaling cash deals. And that focus helped me quickly have success, 6 figures first year. Second year, I jumped into cold calling before it was a super popular thing for everybody and their mom started cold calling, and brought on some team members, hit 7 figures, year 3, year 4. And this 4th year, I've actually started to operate and own the REI Live Atlanta meetup group, which kind of bred and led into a coaching program because a lot of the folks that come out to the monthly meetup, also want to learn how they too can get involved. So, it's been a wild ride, an interesting journey, but I love what I do. Love sharing with others this gift, this life-changing business that completely changed the trajectory for myself after getting fired from a corporate job. So it's something that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about today and how I quickly scaled that business so that I'm not just working in the business, I'm able to work on the business. And a lot of deals get done without my direct involvement.
There we go. So a lot of people, you said you got fired from your corporate job. There are a lot of people today that are in that position, right? Whether it's corporate or non-corporate, there are a lot of folks that got fired, that were laid off, that were furloughed because of COVID-19. Especially right now. And so the question is, how did you make that mental leap? Because that must have been A, scary, B, scary, and C, scarier. Right? You're staring into the barrel of a gun. And at some point, you're like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to make it out alive or not. How did you get over that hump?
Well, for me, it was always a journey. It was always a lifelong vision of mine to be an entrepreneur. I just knew that I was going to follow in my dad's footsteps, climb the corporate ladder, and then the perfect startup opportunity was just going to open up for me, and I was going to be able to take it and run with it. And then life happened. I literally went at Purdue University where I graduated, majored in operations. I got a 15 credit entrepreneurship certificate program. So I had been all in on being an entrepreneur since a young kid and throughout my collegiate years. So when I got fired, I actually reached out to a buddy of mine that I met in Pittsburgh when I was working for Heinz, one of my first jobs out of college. And he always talked about real estate, real estate, real estate. He had some rental properties. He had been doing some different things. And we met in Pittsburgh like 4 years prior. And then when I got fired, literally, mind you, 2-3 weeks after getting married, I got married 10-10-15, so 5-year anniversary is coming up next month. But literally 2 weeks after getting married, got fired, didn't know what I was going to do, started to apply for some corporate jobs. But I called him. I phoned a friend. I said, man, what's this real estate thing all about? And he said, hey, look, come over. I'm in a mentor program. It's going to be able to teach you exactly what you need to do to get going. And upon hearing what wholesaling was, I was like, this is a no-brainer. I mean, real estate runs the world, right? Real estate is one of the most consistent industries or ways to build wealth, like over history, right? And so once I found out that there was an opportunity to get into real estate with little upfront cash, it made absolute sense and the possibilities were endless. So for me, again, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always knew, I thought that the perfect opportunity was going to come. It just came in a different form. And when I saw that opportunity, I did not waste it. I ran with it. I stopped applying for jobs, even to the detriment of my father's dream for me. But it all just made sense. And so I didn't look back, and I was all in. That's the other part. There's a lot of people that want to get into a different industry, but they want to continue to have another job. I had no choice. So I did from January, 6 weeks later, my very first mailing, I got a deal under contract, middle of February. My first closing was March 8th, 2016. So then boom, within 2-3 months, I knew it was real, and the rest is history.
That's an awesome story. How much was that first check, out of curiosity?
It was a $15K deal.
Okay.
And
$15,000 check.
More because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Sure.
I sold it to somebody that, I could have definitely probably put another 10K on it, but I split it with my buddy Daryl that put me in the game. So I took home $7,500, but that was what? 2-3 months of salary, a little less than 3.
It's
over.
That's impressive. I mean, and I think you said something that's very interesting, right? We now all have an opportunity to be all in on ourselves. And we should not miss out on that opportunity. And if we do, I think we'll feel like we've just shot ourselves in the foot looking back on this time, especially right now in 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 years.
100%. Look, I like to say that I was broke, but I was not poor.
Yeah.
And poor stands for passing over opportunities repeatedly. I did not have a poor mindset. I did not want to waste that opportunity. I saw it. It made sense. It checked the box. I ran with it. Been running ever since. Slow down a little bit because my team does a lot of the running for me, but
I was gonna say, right? Like you're just doing a relay race with yourself. That's all you're doing. You're just like, I'm just gonna pass the baton and I'm just gonna keep going. That's kind of what.
Especially as we transition to a virtual acquisitions model.
Yes.
It's created even more opportunity to manage the managers, not run around on appointments. That was a game changer for my business once I realized that I could actually do deals without seeing the property first. We only go to the property once we have a signed contract. And that has just opened up so much more time to develop the team, have the opportunity to expand into different markets relatively easily because we have a virtual acquisitions model. Even though I do deals in this city, in Atlanta, it's still a virtual acquisitions model where we don't go to the property until it's under contract. So that's been a game changer for our business as well.
So you have a virtual acquisitions model. You have a coaching program called Investor in You, and you have taken over this REI Live meetup group. What do you not do Like, I'm sure you've gone skydiving. You probably own a plane at some point. It seems like a lot of work. How do you, just real quick
Actually,
before we get into the meat of things, how do you manage your time?
man, that's always a challenge for any entrepreneur. But lately, it's been a lot easier to manage relatively, because of the fact that my team is pretty self-sufficient. I did have to fire my dispositions manager in the beginning of the summer. So I'm doing a little bit of lifting there, and coordinating deals. But other than that, it's team meetings, checking in on KPIs, meeting with the group. My monthly meetup, it's just one monthly meetup. There's a lot of RIAs that have events 2-3 times each and every week. We meet once a week, but I bring high-powered speakers, either local authorities or national figures, such as the Brent Daniels and Tom Kroll, Eddie Speeds of the world, the Avi Goldhars of the world. And so I just do that a monthly meetup, and then we engage each other via the Facebook group. I do a one-to-many coaching model, to where we have group support calls. So that also allows me to direct my coaching to like a once a week type situation. They can always connect with me via Slack, our virtual workspace, which is a game changer for the coaching students as well. But by having a one-to-many model, a once a month meetup, and then a team that is pretty self-sufficient, I still am able to squeeze in some time. And I have 4 kids. So that's the one other thing that takes up a lot of my time, because that was always another goal of mine. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted to be a father.
Incredible. So you're just Superman with time management. That's what I'm understanding.
I just put my cape in the closet right before you got here.
Right. I mean, I saw that. I saw that. I like the cape. I need one. But I'm not sure if I'm ready for it.
Look, Abby is the new Superman. So
something like that. Just like, right. Brown is the new orange. So when a student enters your coaching program for the first time, who is that student, and why would they be entering your coaching program, aside from the fact that you actually do what you teach?
Yeah, the coaching program, honestly, and my mentor, I still have a mentor for my coaching, really wants me to continue to focus in on one segment. And so the coaching program is for a new investor that's, out the gate ready to build a business and have a repeatable process, instead of just hustling real estate, if you will. But that investor needs to be somewhat tech savvy, at least able to work a Excel spreadsheet. So, our model is built off of a system. So I'm able to help the brand new investor, the investor that has been, doing some deals, but, can't seem to get consistency, as well as the investor that's looking to scale their business, because the steps to scaling are making the right hires and delegating a lot of the work. And I've seen that progression. I've lived that progression over the last 4.5 years. So honestly, it's really for anybody, but for my coach's sake, I'm going to say, I help new investors have a virtual model where they're able to do deals without going on seller appointments.
If I wanted to learn more about that coaching program, where do I go?
Yeah, go to BrandonJBarnes.com.
BrandonJBarnes.com.
Yes, sir.
I wish when I started out on this entire real estate entrepreneurial career, if you will, that there was somebody that was actually doing the right deals and doing what I felt that I could achieve to handhold me through the process, because it can be intimidating unless you have your back in a corner and you are all in, and there are not a lot of folks that can put themselves into that position. Then you need some folks, you need a group of people that it's very much like a support system that say, hey, it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to fail, and here's what you did wrong, and here's what you should have learned from this experience. And I think that's really important for a lot of people that are new, that are looking at real estate as a very viable wealth building strategy. But I think the other thing that you talked about, and we'll wrap up with this thought, is building a real estate business, because that's very different than just wholesaling an X number of deals every single year or flipping an X number of deals every year. You truly need a way to build a team to help you really grow and scale. How do you get there? Because you've mentioned this automated virtual acquisition model. What does that mean to you, and why should I care as somebody that's looking at your program saying, okay, if I go to brandonjbarnes.com, this is what I'm going to get, but why? Why does this matter to somebody like me?
Yes, great question. The way that you get there, for me, again, my mentor said, hey, the first hire that you make is an administrative virtual assistant, somebody to support you, somebody to learn the systems, somebody to create SOPs, standard operating procedures, document your business, have an operations manual. So there are many people that want to start off with cold callers or start off with acquisitions managers. If you're starting off by yourself, having a virtual administrative assistant in your corner, not a VA that's calling and doing all this other stuff, somebody that's there to do all the administrative work, send out offers, skip trace your list, clean your list, get your data into the right sources, build those processes, document your processes. That was the biggest key to my success. And I made that hire 6 months in. I wasn't waiting. 6 months in, I knew that I was making hires for where I wanted my business to be, not where it was at that time. And it was tough paying for 40 hours a week, each and every week, but it was the best thing ever. So documenting that process and having that support system so that as you bring on new team members, you're able to have that support for them while you're still working on the business. And the biggest key, the reason why people should be interested in going to brandonjbarnes.com or iambbarnes.com, which is also my Instagram handle, they both get you there, is because I'm replacing seller appointments, face-to-face appointments with offers. Like, that is our biggest KPI. Once I was able to create a system with a script, an acquisition script that takes each homeowner through the process, culminating in a live offer, once I locked that in, that's when our business exploded. That's when, we went to sending out 50 offers a week, and every 25 offers we created, we got one signed. So each and every week, getting 2 signed contracts. And I can show anybody how to do that because I've documented the process, again, along the way, thanks to my Rockstar virtual assistant. So if you want to spend more time working on your business, giving yourself a better chance of actually doing deals by replacing seller appointments and driving around the city with live offers, I'll show you exactly how to do that.
Awesome.
That's how we do deals.
And all the more reason to go to brandonjbarnes.com. We have to wrap up. What's one gold nugget in the next 5, 10, 15 seconds that you can offer these new real estate investors that are just jumping into the game?
I always share 3 things with everybody. Every time I speak: consistency, continuous learning and development, and networking and mentorship. With those 3 things, you will have success in this business or any other business for that matter. If you're consistent in your efforts, if you continue to expand your mind, and if you have a mentor or in a strong network, you will get through. That's not just real estate. That's business in general. Those 3 keys are my themes, my 3 keys to success. With those things, you will win.
Bingo. Brandon, thanks for the time. I appreciate it, man.
Check me out on Instagram at iambbarnes.
iambbarnes, Instagram. Got it. Next segment is brought to you by Real Property Management, which is the largest residential property management franchise in North America, managing tens of thousands of properties for individuals, investors, and institutions throughout the country. Learn more at realpropertymgt.com or call 888-806-7088. Let's talk about Are your short-term rentals ready for a safety reckoning? An article written by Sean Miller on thinkrealty.com. Here's the thing. He talks about a couple of things. Number one, you want to connect keyless locks. Number two, get your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Number three, fire extinguishers. Number four, connected access controls and intercom systems. What's interesting, though, when we talk about short-term rentals as a whole, and the throwback to the Think Realty radio show is the following. I remember having multiple conversations with folks about how to underwrite for an Airbnb deal, and it all started by making sure that the numbers for your Airbnb deal also worked for a long-term rental. So that if anything were to happen to Airbnb, then at least you could do a long-term rental and still come out okay. I hope you took my advice on that. Otherwise, you'd be shooting yourself in the foot right now. I think what Sean is saying in this article absolutely makes sense, where you want to make sure that you keep your guests safe. And there are those 4 features that I just addressed that help with that effort. But even before getting to the point where you can keep your guests safe, you want to make sure you put yourself in the right deal to begin with. If you already have a bunch of Airbnb rentals, or you've structured yourself in partnership with a homeowner to structure this Airbnb deal, then okay, then these 4 make sense to me. But listen, at the end of the day, if you're not paying attention to how you're buying these homes, these condos, these apartments for a potential Airbnb exit, then I think you need to do a double take. Think Realty Nation, that's the show. If you have any questions for us, get in touch. You know how to do it. Go to thinkrealty.com. You can find me anywhere online. A huge shout out to Clint Coons, who's the podcast sponsor. I need to get those words out of my mouth. The podcast sponsor for today's show. You can find him at getbulletprooftoday.com. But again, Clint Coons of Anderson Business Advisors, he's nationally recognized for providing bulletproof asset protection, tax, and business strategy advice to real estate investors. Go to, again, www.getbulletprooftoday.com and receive his book, Asset Protection for Real Estate Investors, for free. So make sure you check out that website for sure. Think Realty Nation, that's a wrap. Until next time, happy investing.